What is up, Rundown listeners? Sorry that we are here a day later than normal, but had some stuff come up, and honestly, it ended up working out for the better that we waited because we got so much free agency news to talk about today. Before we do all of that, though, Justin, I'm making sure that I don't miss it this time. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I was just so overwhelmed with how much stuff was happening in free agency. So ready to get on here and talk about this because there was a lot that happened.
For sure. I feel like literally we were talking to each other the entire week or like the entire first 3 days this week, and it was just like, oh my, oh my, oh my, just over
This
and
person has
over.
signed with this team. This person has signed with. It was just, dude. It was constant.
Ah, dude, we cut what, probably 10 stories out of our
Oh,
breaking
at
news.
least.
So,
Yeah.
man, without further ado, let's get into the, as I've titled the episode, free agency frenzy. So, starting off with the biggest piece of breaking news, shout out to Justin for letting me start with this because it's kind of sad for me. But Derrick Henry has signed a 2 year, $16 million deal with the Ravens. This deal has the opportunity to get him up to, I think it was, what, 20 million
Yeah.
with incentives. So, first things first, obviously, as a Titans fan, this sucks. I mean, I saw it coming. He gave us that speech at the last home game that was like, "Thank you guys for the last 8 years," and you could just kind of tell it had run its course and it was time. And there's a lot of really angry Titans fans right now because they're like, "Oh, you let him walk and then you signed Tony Pollard." It's like, bro, he was ready to leave too. Like, and I don't hold
He's
it
not getting any younger.
right. He's not getting any younger, and at this point, he wants to win a ring, and I respect that fully. We gotta, as Titans fans, we gotta face the music. We are not the Super Bowl team that he needs right now, and it sucks, but I wish him all the best. I think Baltimore is probably one of the 2 to 3 best places he could have gone to win a ring. Um, Baltimore's got a really great front line on offense, and they're really good at blocking, and will open up a lot of holes for him. And Lamar has weapons around him to, open up the holes with the pass game. And Lamar's also a threat too. So I just feel like Derrick Henry really bolsters that offense and makes them very deadly. But from the bottom of my heart, thanks to Derrick Henry for the wonderful memory the last 8 years, and wish him nothing but the best moving forward. So I know you're probably not thrilled that it's to the Ravens, but
Dude, like you said, it's probably the best case scenario for him to sign. I think the other kind of rumor we were seeing was the Cowboys.
and the
But
Texans.
yeah, and the Texans. But I think the Ravens are probably the best case scenario for him.
Hmm.
Like we said, he's not getting any younger. He's 30. He'll be 31 this next season. Um, and for a running back, 8 years, this will be his ninth year. That's a long time. He's getting up there in terms of age of a running back. And, he's kind of running out of that time to win a Super Bowl. And I just, where the Titans are right now, they're kind of in that rebuild mode. It clearly winning a Super Bowl is not really in the Titans' cards this coming year. And I think he knew that.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think this is a good thing for Derrick Henry, but probably not the best thing for my Bengals, considering we already struggle to defend
Y'all,
the run, and now you have the Steelers with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, and then you have the Browns with Jerome Ford and Nick Chubb's going to be healthy, and now you have the Ravens adding Derrick Henry. So
and they
can't
kept
stop the
just
run, and now the AFC North can really run the ball.
and they kept Justice Hill and
They
Lamar.
still have J.K. Dobbins, I think.
He's a free agent, and
Yeah,
Lamar obviously too. So yeah, and I
and
mean,
they have that rookie. What was his name? He got hurt.
Keaton Mitchell or something like that. Yeah,
Keaton Mitchell.
that's who I
Yep.
was thinking of
Yeah.
too. Yeah, Keaton Mitchell is nuts.
So I mean, all three teams in the AFC North can run the ball.
Hmm. Yeah, Derrick Henry. The last
So,
time that the Titans played the Bengals, we were at that game, and he ran for like 2 million yards on y'all, and now he's gonna get to that twice a year. So, uh,
oh boy.
the other big signing is that Justin Matabuki has re-signed with the Ravens, I'm reading the notes and it says Justin Matabuki has re-signed with them Ravens.
Yeah, yeah, just yeah.
Justin, do these signings make the Ravens the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC right now?
I think so. Yes. The Ravens really haven't made any, or sorry, the Chiefs really haven't made any like splash signings other than obviously re-signing Chris Jones. But other than that, they haven't really addressed their one weakness, which was their wide receiver core. Not to say that they won't do that or they can't do that through the draft, but it's something that hasn't been addressed yet. And I think the Ravens add that extra layer to their offense that they previously weren't getting. Sorry, I got something in my eye.
You're good, man.
That they previously weren't getting with their run game. They ran the ball well, but against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, they ran the ball 8 times with their running back the entire game, and that was once in the second half. I think adding Derrick Henry to that offense kind of takes that away. Like, you have to run the ball to be able to beat the Chiefs. You have to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, and yeah, I think right now in the AFC, if we're doing AFC power rankings, it's Chiefs and a very close gap, and it's Ravens at
For
2.
for sure. And I think the only reason, honestly, I think the only reason why the Chiefs stay at 1 is because they're the defending champions. Because
And until somebody beats them,
yeah,
you gotta put them
because
at 1.
honestly, if you ask me to pick that game, like Chiefs Ravens, and they're playing at full strength, I honestly would lean Ravens more so than I would have last year. But that champion difference, I think when the rubber needs to meet the road, until they prove otherwise, obviously the Chiefs still need to be number 1. But I completely agree with you. I think these two signings definitely make the Ravens the scariest team in the AFC. I don't think it's particularly close either. So
yeah. The next team that made a couple moves that we'll talk about is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Woo-hoo.
They traded a 6th-round pick for previous New England Patriots quarterback Mac Jones, and they also signed Gabe Davis to a 3-year deal to replace their wide receiver that they're losing, that we'll talk about in a little bit. This feels like an odd trade for the Jags acquiring Mac Jones. I mean, does it not? Like, I know they have Trevor Lawrence.
This was a head scratcher. I'm not gonna lie.
This feels weird.
This was odd. I know I was saying, oh yeah, Mac Jones should get another chance. But I honestly, if I were the Patriots, I probably would have leaned towards keeping Mac Jones for a year, especially if for some reason you're not feeling like this is your year to get a quarterback. Like, if you're not sold on the 3rd best quarterback, because let's be honest, they're getting the 3rd best quarterback if they choose to take a quarterback. If your guy's not there, I would go Marvin Harrison Jr. in a heartbeat. And I mean, Mac Jones proved he was at least, serviceable when he was confident.
He got to a Pro Bowl in the playoffs and a winning record.
Yeah. And I mean, outside of that, there's, Justin Fields, there's Ryan Tannehill. Like, there are many options out there that they could have done at quarterback. So for me, it doesn't really make any sense unless, like we said, they just absolutely are sold on a quarterback. I'll be honest, the Patriots are one of those organizations where I have no idea what to expect from them in the draft. I
don't even think they know what to expect from them.
Because honestly, like, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is their best pick. I think that's the best pick they could make because they are bereft of talent. And this doesn't make any sense. But as far as Jags, I think this is a good pickup for them. It was kind of odd, like you said, but at the same time, you get a serviceable backup quarterback to Trevor Lawrence in the event he goes down again. And, maybe you end up, he gets to learn behind a good quarterback, and maybe he, shows some improvement, and then you can trade him for maybe like a 4th-round pick in a year or 2 if he gets some playing time. As far as, did you want me to go on to Gabe Davis or?
Yeah, just really quickly, like, I think at first it felt like an odd trade, but the more you sit back and the more you think about it, I mean, there were damn near 60 quarterbacks that played in the league this year that started a game.
I was about to say, hell, you and I about started a game.
Like, it tells me that the Jags they definitely are. Trevor Lawrence is their guy, but they also understand you know the importance of having a good backup quarterback because of you just never know what's going to happen.
Truly.
Any given Sunday, your quarterback can go down, and you need a guy that can go in there and at least stabilize your offense, and it's not going to go off the rails, and he's going to step in there and not know what he's doing and throw 4 picks. Like, you need a guy with experience, and I think Mac Jones provides that for their second team in the event that Trevor Lawrence goes down. And this kind of tells me for the Patriots that they're drafting a quarterback. Like, they have to.
Yeah.
Unless they truly believe that Bailey Zappi is their guy, which he's not. I don't know if anybody in that front office realizes that. He's good, but he's not the guy. This just tells me that they are almost 1,000% drafting a quarterback.
Don't you dare disrespect WKU legend Bailey Zappi like that.
Who's gonna tell him?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think the only thing that would make sense here is that they're looking to get Justin Fields, but or like you said, they're drafting a quarterback, but I just don't know that they have the talent in place as it stands to give that quarterback any chance at success. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, free agency is still young, but from some of the reports I was seeing is that the Patriots are kind of done with free agency and they're looking to acquire pieces in the draft. So we'll see what they do, but I don't know that I would want to go play for them. Then we get to Gabe Davis, replacing Calvin Ridley. For me, I don't know that I like this signing. Gabe Davis isn't bad, don't get me wrong, but he's not what he was a few years ago when he was on the Bills, which obviously he was on the Bills last year too, but last year he was not what he was a couple years ago. And I feel like this 3-year deal, I don't remember exactly what the money was on it, but it was quite a bit. Like, it was quite a bit more than I would have paid him, I think. So,
yeah.
Obviously he doesn't have to be a number one because they have pieces, but I feel like if you're expecting Gabe Davis to be Calvin Ridley, you're in for kind of a rude awakening.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they tried to replace Calvin Ridley as their home run hitter with Gabe Davis, who is a good home run hitter, but
like 2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like Gabe Davis has games where he has 4 catches for 200 yards, and then he has games with 1 catch for -4 yards, and there's not really an in between,
And
there's just not an in between there.
I can confirm that because he was on my fantasy team for some of the year, and it went from like, holy crap, he's kicking butt for me to,
Yeah, I think that I understand what they're trying to replace Calvin Ridley as that home run hitter, but it just doesn't feel like it was the right move. I don't know if I believe in Gabe Davis to be a consistent number 2 because he was a number 2 in Buffalo, and
well, he ended up becoming a number 3 in Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. We see how that went down. So
yeah, so I'm with you. Moving on, let's go to another team that made one move that made quite a bit of sense, and then another move that made almost no sense. The Cleveland Browns, they traded for Jerry Jeudy from the Broncos. For me, this trade was one of those that I'm not sure if it moves the needle or not because I just don't feel like we've seen enough from Jerry Jeudy over the last year or two. Jerry Jeudy is starting to become one of those receivers where I feel like this would have been big news like 2 to 3 years ago. But I feel like he's gotten to that point now where it's kind of like, if he's healthy, he's great. But it's also hard to kind of judge based on that dumpster fire they had in Denver.
Yeah, that's the thing is like their quarterback play in Denver. Like I know Russ had a pretty solid year this past year, but even still, it's not like Russ was a top 15 quarterback last year. So,
but if you're calling Cowherd, he was the equivalent of Mahomes.
Deshaun Watson's top 15 either.
True. Deshaun Watson's one of those. When he's on, he's a top 5 quarterback. It's just the times when he's on is much less than it used to be. And, I think that comes from he didn't play football for like 2 years. Um, You know, so you had the question in there, how much better does this make the Browns? I've kind of addressed that already. Should they be legit contenders to win the AFC North? No, I don't think so. I
I mean,
think
they won 11 games with Joe Flacco as their quarterback for half of them.
they did, but I mean,
All of their defense is coming back. Nick Chubb is coming back. They got Jerry Jeudy.
bro, but they've got Cincinnati with a hungry Joe Burrow coming back. They've got Baltimore with the greatest show on turf meets the 2006-2007 Patriots meets the like they've just meets the
The Steel
2013
Curtain.
Broncos meets the Steel Curtain meets like they just I think Baltimore should be the honestly I think Baltimore should be the favorite to win that division, and I think that the Bengals should be the best challenger. The thing with Cleveland that makes me hesitant is Deshaun Watson just has been so inconsistent, and you cannot win with inconsistent quarterback play. I mean, that's why Joe Flacco helped them win so many games, is because he was consistent. Like, yeah, he was going to throw 2 to 3 picks a game, but he was also going to throw 3 touchdowns a game. So it was like, you know,
All of them were going to be to David Njoku too.
yeah, or Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
Because that week 18 game or whatever it was, they were like Joe Flacco had
it was
50.
the game against the Texans.
Yeah, they were like
the regular season game against the Texans.
They were like Joe Flacco had 15 good throws left in his arm, and he threw them all to Amari Cooper in that one game.
Amari Cooper, yeah. He had like 15 catches for like 220 yards.
Yeah, he had like 56 fantasy points or something like that. It was stupid.
Crazy.
So should they be legit contenders? You know, it depends on what Nick Chubb looks like. And it depends on if their defense is still as potent as it was. Myles Garrett obviously is still going to eat, but it just kind of depends on the pieces around him, and it depends on if Nick Chubb is healthy and like good. You know, obviously he got lucky with that knee injury, but that man, you needed a protractor to measure the angle that his knee bent at when we saw that game live, when it bent in the wrong direction. And
similar to like what you said, he tore his ACL, MCL, LCL, PCL. Meniscus, patellar, his USB, his DVD, his UDF, his UFO, all of it.
His Nintendo Wii. That was your favorite one that I said. So yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that question specifically? Because I wouldn't put them as legit contenders, but I mean obviously stranger things have happened. So
I think right now I would probably put them as the favorite to challenge Baltimore ahead of Cincinnati, and I'm saying that as a Bengals fan.
Okay.
I think their defense is going to be just as good, and I think Nick Chubb's going to come back. They're going to run the ball. They're going to do what they want to do. They ran the ball well with Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt, and then you add Jerry Jeudy to this offense that, with decent quarterback play, was pretty good. I mean, I know they just ran into a young and hungry Texans team in the playoffs.
Well, I also think part of that.
Let's be honest, they won 11 games with Joe Flacco as their quarterback for half of them. Like, that should say something about how good the rest of their team was. And if they can get competent quarterback play from Deshaun Watson this year, I think they can challenge the Ravens.
Part of that problem too was they ran into a hungry Texans team at the same time that Joe Flacco ran out of gas.
Yeah.
And now for the signing that didn't make any sense to me. They've signed Jameis Winston to a 1-year, $7 million deal. So for me, this signing, like I said, it didn't make any sense because I just, like, Jameis is a good backup, don't get me wrong, and he's like the perfect hold the clipboard guy, but I just don't understand why you don't re-sign Flacco. Or, you know.
I do.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that in a second because the question you've got written here, but
I'll tell you why.
But like for me, it's like, you know, you would want somebody who knows your system, right? Like you want somebody who could step in and take over. And so for me, it's like, who is it? Thompson Robinson.
Dorian Thompson Robinson, yeah.
Yeah.
DTR.
Is he even still on the roster?
I don't know, maybe.
Like, is he gonna be third man? I don't know, but
he got concussed so hard. I don't even know if he knows he's on the roster.
yeah, that's fair. You know, if it were me, I would bring back Joe Flacco. Because to be honest, and the question that you have written down that you'll address too, is what does this say about the Browns' belief in Deshaun Watson? And obviously what this says to me is that Deshaun didn't want Joe Flacco there. And they may, because he feels threatened by him. And, you know, they're paying him that gajillion-dollar guaranteed contract, and so they feel like they need to.
He'll have a cap hit of over the next 3 years, each year of $60 million.
Yeah, that's just nuts. It's the second largest cap hit behind like freaking Dak Prescott. Anyway, um, so it's like Deshaun. It's like for me, it's like I would bring him in if I were the coach because I think Deshaun needs that fire lit under him because he hasn't played the last couple of years either at all or like a top tier quarterback. So I'll let you get your thoughts out on this too, but I just kind of wanted to give mine too. So
For me, I think this tells me that the Browns clearly want Deshaun Watson to be their guy, which makes sense considering they're paying him so much money. But the reason they didn't sign Joe Flacco is what happens if 6, 7, 8 games in, they're 3-5, 4-4, and Deshaun Watson has through 8 games, let's say like 17 touchdowns and nine picks, and they're struggling, and you still have Joe Flacco on the bench, who you saw last year was very successful. Would it, like, as the front office, would you not start to hear rumblings from the players, from some of the coaches, from the fans of, hey, why is Deshaun Watson still out there? Let's get Joe Flacco in there. And because clearly he was competent last year with this offense, so let's put him back out there because clearly he can get the job done. And right now, Deshaun isn't. So that's why they didn't re-sign Joe Flacco and tried to go somewhere else with Jameis Winston because, like you said, they want Jameis Winston to be that hold the clipboard guy, and they want Deshaun Watson to be the guy considering they're paying him $1 million. I say $1 million as an over-exaggeration. I should have said $1 billion.
there you
go. Yeah. They're paying him $1 billion. So this tells me that they. I know.
You're sitting there. No, you said $1 million. I'm like, damn, that's not that bad.
I know. Yeah. So this tells me that the Browns need Deshaun Watson to be the guy.
Yeah. Now you said that like, oh, if they had Joe Flacco, they'd be like, oh, Joe Flacco's on the bench. Why don't we give him a shot? And that's what the players would want. So naturally, the Browns front office would be like, you know what? You're right. Let's fire Kevin Stefanski in the middle of the year.
You know what, Nick Chubb? I know you're a running back. You're starting quarterback this week.
Right, for real. They signed Derrick Henry to come in and throw passes.
All right.
On to the lowly Bears.
The Chicago Bears, they have signed former Eagles and Titans safety Kevin Byard to a 2-year deal, and they have also signed running back DeAndre Swift to a 3-year, $24 million deal.
All right, I'm gonna stop you right there for just a second. Yep. I feel like it's illegal to call him a former Eagles safety. I'm not even 100% sure he was on the team.
That's fair. I think he played like 6 games.
The only things I saw was him getting burnt on like every play. Because for some reason
that's the entire Eagles defense.
True. For some reason he was like amazing on the Titans last year, and then he went to the Eagles and was like just ass. But anyway.
So the Bears are clearly trying to make some big moves. We have to sit here and believe that they are going to draft Caleb Williams. All of the signs point towards that.
Yeah.
So clearly they're trying to surround their future first-round draft pick with Caleb Williams with talent on both sides of the ball. What do we think their ceiling is next year? For me, I think I'll be shocked if they win more than 5 games, if you want me to be honest. I think 7 wins is their ceiling next year.
Yeah, I think losing Darnell Mooney is going to hurt a lot. And as of right now, they haven't brought anyone in to replace him. Obviously, DJ Moore is a great receiver,
and they do have the 9th overall pick. It's a pretty solid wide receiver class coming in, but
yeah, that's true. I mean, it
just depends on what they want to do with that.
You could see like a Rome Odunze or something.
If he falls that far,
right? So, yeah, I was gonna say Brock Bowers, but they have Cole Kmet still, I think. So,
yeah, they don't need a tight end really.
No. So I would tend to agree with you. I would say maybe at best, like 9 and 8. Like at best, I would really be shocked if they did that. But at best, I would say 9 and 8. The only reason why I'm saying that is because I think that they could potentially have 2 easy wins with the Vikings.
Just depends on who their quarterback is next year.
Right. And you already know that like either the Packers or the Lions are going to find a way to choke one of those. So, yeah. The DeAndre Swift signing, I actually like quite a bit. I think that their running game was left a lot to be desired last year. And so I think DeAndre Swift is a great piece for them to add. And 24 million for 3 years is not terrible. So I like it. Yeah, that I don't really have a lot of thoughts on the Bears, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, all right, are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. On to the Steelers. Russell Wilson has signed a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Broncos will be paying $38 million of Russ's deal, so the Steelers only have to pay him.
Steelers Nation, let's weld.
Yeah, the Steelers only have to pay him like $1 million, maybe $2 million.
It's like $1.1 million, I think.
So, is this a good signing for the Steelers, and what should their expectations be? Or let me mention also, they signed former, I think you meant to say former Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen.
I did.
The notes just say former linebacker Patrick Queen, but
he's actually moving to offensive tackle. Actually,
yeah. He signs a 3-year, $41 million deal. So we had a couple questions here. Is this a good signing for the Steelers? Russell Wilson, I mean, if they only have to pay him $1 million, hell yeah, it's a good signing. I mean, their other free agent option was Ryan Tannehill, which, again, I've been the biggest Tannehill defender, but Tannehill, Russell Wilson, one of them has won a Super Bowl. One of them blew a 14-point lead in the AFC Championship game. So, I think
Russ never blew a 14-point lead in the AFC Championship game because he never got there.
That's true.
In the AFC.
and as we've seen with the Michael Jordan debate, that means more than if he had blown the lead in the championship game, because if you don't get there, it's not as bad. Anyway, what should their expectations be? Let
me frame this.
Not good.
Let me frame this. They went 10-7
with Kenny Pickett.
They made the playoffs. I mean, yeah, they got boat raced by Buffalo
Big
in the
Dog,
first round.
Let's be honest. They went 10-7 with like half of Kenny Pickett and then half of Mason Rudolph, with a brief Mitch Trubisky signing.
They went 10-7 with that as their quarterback play. Like I said, I know they got boat raced in the playoffs, but they still went 10-7 with garbage quarterback play. I think if Russ can give them just a fraction of what he gave in that last season in Denver, he threw like 26 touchdowns. So I framed it for you. Now answer.
As far as what their expectations should be, they're I don't know that, like, I think their ceiling is the AFC North is going to have one of those years where they get all 4 teams in, and they'll be a wild card team. I think their expectation should be like last year. I don't see them. Maybe they upset a team depending on who their first round matchup is, but I would say first round at best. As far as their floor, I would say probably 8-9, 7-10. It just really depends. I think that losing Deontay Johnson is going to hurt them. Obviously, I know he was kind of a diva, but I'm curious to see on what they do in the draft. I think this definitely, though, steers me away from thinking this is going to be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. I think this signing does move the needle enough that I think that they will still be at least good.
Yeah, they probably still get to that 9-8, 10-7 mark. Mm-hmm. But like we saw this past year, teams go 10-7 and they still don't make the playoffs.
Well, I feel like as long as Joe Burrow gets healthy, or as long as Joe Burrow stays healthy, I think the Steelers will be the 4th best team in that division.
Yeah, and let's be honest, every single year, half the teams that made the playoffs don't make it again. The next year. So, which means half the teams that didn't make the playoffs will make it, aka the Bengals that are getting Joe Burrow healthy.
AKA the team that we're about to talk about, because holy crap.
Let's not go that far.
I don't know, man. We'll see. The
But yeah,
defense, and then
yeah, yeah. So Patrick Queen, 3 year, $41 million. How good's their defense going to be?
I mean, T.J. Watt was electric this year. I think their defense is a large part of the reason why they made the playoffs at all. Because it sure as hell wasn't their quarterbacks. I mean, they were winning games like 19-17. And they were winning games 19-17, and Kenny Pickett would score 3 points.
Because their defense would have 2 pick sixes.
Yeah. So it's one of those, like, I think this defense is going to be really great, like it was. And I think that, once again, they're going to rely on their defensive front and their defensive pressure, and then allow Russell Wilson to kind of manage the ship a little bit better than Kenny Pickett is able to. And I think that will lead them to, like we said, about the same as last year, maybe slightly better. So,
yeah. I mean, Patrick Queen, Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter Jr., they got some studs on that defense.
They do.
It's gonna be scary.
Indeed.
All right, moving on to your favorite team, the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
They have signed Tony Pollard to a 3-year, $24 million deal. They have also signed former Bengals DB Chidobe Awuzie to a 3-year, $25.5 million deal. And just breaking, as I was driving home, they have signed Jags wide receiver Calvin Ridley to a 4-year, $92 million deal with $50 guaranteed. Just thoughts in general?
I was going to say, do you have any thoughts, or do you just want me to go?
I don't really have any thoughts on the Titans. I think these are all pretty damn good signings.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what you think about all of them.
So overall, I really like it because the entire last 4 years that you and I have been talking about the Titans and free agency, it's been me sending you that meme of that guy poking them with a stick, going, "Come on, do something."
Hey, that's like the Bengals most years too.
So the fact that they're actually signing big names, I love it. Tony Pollard feels a little odd to me because that feels like Tyjae Spears.
Good pass catching back.
Yeah.
Kind of elusive, not really a power back.
Yeah, and so I'm curious to see how that fit is, because it's kind of one of those, you're signing a guy to do what you already have. What I would have loved to have seen instead of maybe that is them getting the back from Michigan. What was his name?
Corum.
Yeah, Blake
Corum.
Blake Corum. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that maybe, or something like that, just a more power back to complement Spears. But
yeah, it kind of feels like with Derrick Henry and Spears, they had a shake and bake, and now it feels like they have a shake and shake.
Which, granted, it's not like they were doing much anyway because our O-line was terrible, but at least we had the two-pronged attack there. It just feels like whenever you double up, it's going to be kind of interesting. That one was the one where I was like, I don't hate it, but also, we'll see how it works. It definitely, to me, says that they're going to be going towards a more pass-centric offense, though. Awuzie is probably my favorite signing that they have made in quite a long time.
Dude, Awuzie is a dog.
He was a dog for you guys, and
I'm so happy for y'all.
And 3 years, $25.5 million is not awful. That's pretty good, especially with some of the money that you see getting paid out there. So it's one of those, our defense, we were not very good defending the pass. We also weren't very good defending the run, but that's beside the point. And so I think this is just going to be a great piece to our defense. Now, Calvin Ridley is kind of it's a little bittersweet for me, because it's they couldn't pay AJ Brown $20 million a year for 4 years, but they're going to pay Calvin Ridley, who's 6 years older, $92 million for 4 years. So that's
almost $25 million
a year. So, and obviously I know we're under a different general manager since then. I think they may have overpaid for Ridley just a little bit, but I think it's worth it when you. I mean, we have Grandpa Hopkins out there, and then our second best receiver was Nick Westbrook Akine, because Traylon Burks just unfortunately has not yet materialized because of injuries. So I think this is going to be great because I think this will allow D Hop to kind of settle in as a 2. And I think he still has a lot of potential to be a really, really great 2 and like maybe even like a 1B. But I just don't think that he is. I think he's lost just a little bit of what made him magical. And so he needs that big name across from him to really be effective.
Yeah, I mean, D Hop is going to be. Is he 34 right now?
He's 34, I think, which, again, in his defense, Tannehill and Malik Willis and Will Levis were immediately looking at the other team's jerseys as soon as they snapped the ball. So it's not like he had a whole lot of time to get the ball in the first place, but
That's true.
because whenever anyone was able to get him the ball, it looked really good. It was just he got the ball maybe twice a game because the rest of the time our quarterbacks were looking up at the sky. So, I love the free agency moves because my biggest frustration with J Rob over the last few years was that he just wouldn't do anything, and so this tells me that Rand Carthen, our new GM, is ready to take some big swings. And the thing with when you take big swings is you're going to hit on some, you're going to miss on some, but I would rather see that they are trying, because for the last 4 years, really, since that AFC Championship run, it just feels like they weren't really trying. We were getting everybody's leftovers. Like we got 900-year-old Julio Jones, and we got, then we got, I guess, D Hop. Did we have anybody? We had Robert Woods was who we had between them. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. So it's just, I love the moves we've made, and I think it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
For sure.
So, did you have anything you wanted to add, or you ready for me to move on?
I'm good.
All right. So the Las Vegas Raiders, they signed defensive tackle Christian Wilkins to a 4-year deal. It was like $100-something million. And then they signed former Colts quarterback Gardner Minshew to bring that Minshew mania to Vegas on a 1-year deal. Both of these moves, like Christian Wilkins going to the Raiders, from his standpoint, made no sense to me. But from the Raiders' standpoint, I get it, obviously. Because adding Wilkins with Max Crosby is going to be disgusting. I know they said they were going to go all in on stopping Patrick Mahomes, which is cute and all. But they got to be able to score points on the offensive side. And I think Gardner Minshew is one of the coolest dudes out there, but I just don't know that moves the needle for me.
Yeah.
Especially because the Raiders are low enough in the draft that they're going to get, at best, a project quarterback. Maybe they can get...
Yeah, I mean, they could have gotten like a Bo Nix.
Maybe, but... And it's one of those, Bo Nix is one that I think is probably ready to step in and play. But at the same time, Vegas is not exactly, overflowing with talent.
I mean, they just released Hunter Renfrow, so...
Well, I mean, to be fair, Hunter Renfrow...
Davante Adams...
I'm not even sure Hunter Renfrow was on the field for most of the time.
That's true. Outside of Davante Adams, who doesn't even seem like he wants to be there, who do they have?
I think you and I suited up for receiver for them at one point this past season.
Maybe.
And then, the Gardner Minshew, like I said, that one just doesn't move the needle for me. But, what were your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think adding Christian Wilkins to that defensive front with Max Crosby just gives you a two-headed monster that might just be impossible to block. I mean, like you said, they want to do whatever they can to try to stop Patrick Mahomes, but on the flip side of that, they have to be able to put up points. And when your quarterback room is going to be a mix of currently Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, you want to put up points, but are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
Well, they didn't say they were going all in on putting up points. They said they were going all in on stopping Patrick Mahomes. So,
right. So every game against the Chiefs is just going to be 6-3.
Yeah. Right.
So, it feels like a Just like a weird move getting Minshew. I understand what they're trying to do, trying to bring in a veteran presence on a 1 year kind of cheap deal. But like you said, just don't know if that moves the needle enough to give you really any faith that they're going to be anything better than like 6-11 or 7-10.
Yeah, I think they are absolutely going to be the worst team in that division.
Depends on who the Broncos get a quarterback.
That's true. Supposedly he likes JJ McCarthy, so
That's what I've seen too.
all right, well, why don't you give us the good news?
On to the Falcons, which is probably the biggest quarterback signing of free agency. The Atlanta Falcons are signing Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, I believe it was like $160 million.
Cole's Cash Mafia,
right?
baby.
So my question is, should the Falcons be overwhelming favorites to win the NFC South now? Or is it still kind of Tampa's division to lose now that we know for sure they're returning Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield?
Well, first of all, Kirk O'Chains, baby. But I think
Kirk Thuggins.
Kirk Thuggins, yeah, Cole's Cash Mafia. So I will say, if Kirk Cousins comes back to what he was last year pre-Achilles injury, then the Falcons should be favorites, and it's not close. Because they can address their defensive needs in the draft, and they have a fantastic set of weapons for Kirk Cousins to work with. However, if he comes back, there's some rust, he's a little shaky. I think at that point it becomes Tampa's division to lose. I just don't see either of the other two teams in that division being worth anything. And, for me, it's like Tampa, I think, will benefit from the consistency and that playoff experience that they got. Like we said, it wasn't much, but it was still experience. So, I think if Kirk comes back and he's good, then I think it's the Falcons division without a doubt. But, yeah, I love this signing for Atlanta. I mean, we talked about it last week, I think, that the Falcons would be a great fit for him. There'd be plenty of weapons. I love it for Atlanta. That franchise has kind of been going through it since Matt Ryan left. And so, yeah, I love the signing for him.
Yeah, I think it's a great pickup. I think that what Kirk Cousins provides to that franchise is stability and just like Kirk Cousins is a grown up, he has been there, he's done that. He's 36 years old. Like he knows what he's doing and he knows what it takes to win.
And he's not Desmond Ridder.
Exactly. Sorry, and he's not Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke. So, like he just provides that veteran presence that you need in that offense where you have Drake London, who's going into his second year. Or third year. Kyle Pitts going into his fourth year. Bijan Robinson going into his second. Like, you have all of these young pieces, but that's the thing, is they're young. And then you had a first year, second year Desmond Ridder trying to run that offense, and it just wasn't great. But what Kirk Cousins does is he provides that accuracy and stability and consistency to that offense. So I think it's a fantastic signing, and I will be genuinely shocked if they don't win the division.
Yeah, same. Sorry, I'm just checking to make sure that no breaking free agency news has happened while we've been recording. As of right now, no. But I was just wondering.
The Cowboys signed someone, but Eric Kendricks, I don't even know who
that is. It's about time that they did something. I did see that Mike Williams got cut. That also happened by the Chargers. Also,
Jonah Williams from the Bengals signed with the Cardinals.
Neat.
But once again,
I just saw a tweet that said, the year is 2087. The Titans signed Jamar Chase III to a 5-year, $190 million contract. National media members are wondering why they signed him instead of extending A.J. Brown. Anyway, on to the Packers. The Green Bay Packers signed Josh Jacobs, running back from the Raiders, obviously, to a 4-year, $48 million deal. And then they picked up Xavier McKinney to a 4-year, $67 million deal. I thought that the Josh Jacobs move was interesting, but made sense for me. I think they get a little bit younger back, and Unfortunately for Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, they just both have not been the healthiest the last few years, and so I think getting Josh Jacobs just kind of shores up their running game a little bit more. And then Xavier McKinney also, I think that was just a fantastic signing for them. So, Justin, I've got a question for you. If Jordan Love takes the step up that we all expect he should this team be poised to make a Super Bowl run, or will they even win their division? I mean, we've got the frisky Lions and the Vikings, and the Bears will have the number 1 overall pick. So,
to me, I think if Jordan Love, I think it all is reliant on him. But if he takes that step up, which we've seen him take a big step up just throughout the middle of the season last year, if he continues to improve and the weapons around him, I mean, he has 2 great young tight ends. He has 2 or 3 really great young weapons on the outside. And then you add Josh Jacobs to that. And I think Josh Jacobs, what he does is he provides a little more of that pop, that home run ability that I just don't think Aaron Jones had. And not to say that Aaron Jones is a bad running back. He just didn't have that explosivity that I think Josh Jacobs has.
right.
So you add that to that offense, and if Jordan Love continues to improve, I think that they should be in the running to win their division. I think it depends on what the Lions do. They haven't really done much in terms of free agency and improving their roster. But that's also to say that their roster doesn't need a whole lot of improving. I think they just kind of ran into a good Niners team. But they were a couple plays away from playing for a Super Bowl. So I think that the Lions just kind of need a little bit of a retooling, but the Packers, I think, should be right up there with them. I think their ceiling should be 12, 13 wins with a floor of 9. I think if they don't go 500, it would be an absolute disappointment.
Yeah, low key.
That's kind of how I'm feeling.
Yeah, low key. I would not be surprised if I would not be surprised to see the Packers be like a sneaky number 1 seed. Like that is genuinely what I think their ceiling could be, especially in the much weaker NFC.
For sure.
Yeah. I just definitely agree with you on everything you said. Jordan Love, I think if he takes the step up, and just to remind every listener that's not named Robert Byrd or Justin Frazier, Jordan Love was getting flamed by his own head coach at like week 5. And then he led them to just an absolute beatdown of the Cowboys in the playoffs, and then ran into a better Niners team. So, and even still, they should have won that game. So for me, I think they absolutely could be poised to make a Super Bowl run. I mean, it was one of my hot takes that they'll win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years. So I could definitely see that being this coming year. On to our next team that needed a lot of help.
The Philadelphia Eagles have signed Saquon Barkley, former Giants running back, to a 3-year, $46.75 million deal. To me, this feels like a little bit of an overpay.
Yeah.
Like they had DeAndre Swift. It felt like he was. He's obviously not on Saquon's level, but he was serviceable enough in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
And this just feels like paying. I mean, Saquon's had. Is it 2 ACL tears or just 1?
I think it was.
I think it's just 1. Either way, he does have he did tear his ACL, so he does have a little bit of an injury history, serious injury history.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to go and pay him a little over $15 million a year, which for a running back is a lot of money in today's age. Today's age, where running backs aren't nearly as valued as they used to be, just feels like a lot.
I was going to say, I don't think Derrick Henry ever got paid that much.
I don't know. But what do you think, Ben? Do you think it's a good sign for the Eagles, or do you kind of agree that maybe they overpaid for him?
The thing is, I just don't think that the Eagles' issues were the run game.
No.
They didn't. I mean, they strayed away from it when they shouldn't have. But I don't think that DeAndre Swift was their issue. So, like, letting him go when you had him for a lot cheaper Like, yeah, Saquon is a better running back than DeAndre Swift. I don't think that's up for debate. But it's like, is the productivity that you're gaining there really going to tip the needle whenever your problem was that your secondary couldn't stop a trash can? Like, I'm sitting there watching them in the first round with, they got like 900-year-old Chris Godwin running past them. Like, I just, I don't get me wrong. Like, I'm very happy for Saquon, but there were a lot of other spots I thought he would land, and this was not one of them. So, for the Eagles, I just don't know that this tips the needle. I really don't.
Yeah, they did also re-sign a former player of theirs, C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah.
I forget what the deal was for that, but I think that helps a little bit, but I just still think that they need a lot of help in that secondary, and adding one guy to it, I don't know, is going to be enough right now.
Yeah, like obviously CJ's good and he'll be a good fit for them, but yeah, I don't know. um so now I think this is fun. You got to do my team and I get to do your team. The Cincinnati Bengals. So former Ravens safety Geno Stone is signing with the Bengals on a 2-year, $15 million deal. Former Colts running back Zach Moss signed a 2-year, $8 million deal with the Bengals. And then former Patriots tight end Mike Gesicki signed a 1-year, $3.2 million deal. Justin, I'm going to kind of do what you did for me, and I'm just going to get out of your way here, but I will pose a question for you to address at whatever time you want to. Have the Bengals done enough so far to compete with the rest of their division and Kansas City?
I like the Geno Stone signing. I think he was second in the league in interceptions this past year. Mm-hmm. And for getting him for $7.5 million is definitely not a bad sign. I'm not upset with that one. The Zach Moss signing, I'm okay about. I'm not like jumping up and down, but I'm not like devastated. It's just kind of like a meh signing. Mm-hmm. It's like Zach Moss had a stretch of like 6 games while Jonathan Taylor was out where he ran for 100 yards in each game. Like I think he averaged 100 yards, but still
something like that, yeah.
Like, so that one is just kind of like, eh. And then the Mike Gesicki, I think what he does, if we get his production that we had in Miami, or that he had in Miami, where he was, for a 4-year stretch, he had 50 catches for 600 yards and 8-9 touchdowns. If we get that Mike Gesicki, I'm happy with that. For $3 million, the biggest problem with Mike Gesicki is he's not the best blocker in the world, but we do have some other blocking tight ends that I think kind of make up for that. So I'm not like terribly upset. But the one thing that I wish that they had addressed is their interior defensive line. Mm-hmm. Like I said, they can't stop the run. Their run defense is so bad that they couldn't stop a poop if they were constipated. Like that's how bad their run defense was. It was, and so you have Nick Chubb coming back, who's going to be healthy, and Jerome Ford, and Najee Harris, and Jaylen Warren, and Derrick Henry, and Keaton Mitchell, and Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson can run, and Russell Wilson can maybe run. I don't know. And so like you have all of these running threats in your own division, and the one big weakness on your defense was, or you had 2 big weaknesses, was the splash plays, which they led the league in giving up, which I think Geno Stone addresses that a little bit.
Yeah.
And the run game. And they sort of addressed the big splash play and have not addressed the run game issue at all. And that's concerning in a division where the other 3 teams have really good run games, and you're going to have to play them 6 times a year.
Yeah,
that's concerning to me.
Yeah, like our best offensive game we had this past season was against y'all.
Yeah, that's an issue,
and we were not good.
Yeah, and that's an issue. So
Man, I just want to
that
see.
is definitely the one thing that I'm concerned about.
I just want to see Mike Gesicki hit that gritty, man. That's all. That's all I
Oh
want.
my
I want to
gosh.
see him get one touchdown and just hit that "Hello, my baby. Hello, my."
Can you imagine Jamar Chase and Mike Gesicki gritting together?
Oh
Oh my
gosh, dude!
gosh.
Could you imagine if y'all had
I
gotten?
can't wait for that.
Could y'all imagine if you'd gotten Justin Jefferson though, and then all three of them?
It's not off the table. Justin
I'm
Jefferson's
pretty
not
sure it's off the
table.
table. The Vikings, I think are dead set on not trading that man.
It's probably off the table. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
I'm sorry to have to do that to you, but I think it's off
Yeah.
the table.
I can still hold out hope until he has signed a deal.
I mean that is true. You can hold out hope. That is very true. It just might be very misplaced hope.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
You good or?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I think
All right.
you said everything I could want to say much better than I would have said it. So
Sounds good. Moving on. Our next team, the Washington Commanders, have signed
Woohoo!
Austin Eckler to a 2-year, $12 million deal.
There it is.
Marcus Mariota has signed a 1-year, $6 million deal.
Yes, sir.
And former Seahawks linebacker Bobby Wagner has signed a 1-year, $8.5 million deal.
And as you said to me, that was huge. That was huge news 5 years ago.
Right. So, should they draft Jaden Daniels, which many sources are saying that they're going to? He's probably the top guy on their board outside of Caleb Williams. What should our expectations of the Commanders be? Should it be, they go 500? Should they be competing for a division title, maybe a playoff win? Like, what should our expectations be? What is their ceiling? What's their floor? If they go 9-8, should we be surprised, disappointed? What kind of feelings are we getting off of Austin Eckler? Probably Jaden Daniels and Mariota as your quarterback. They do have Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel. Like, they have a good offense. What should our expectations be?
Well, Marcus Mariota is going to lead them to the Super Bowl, first of all.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
The Austin Eckler signing for me is not as big as people make it seem. We saw him get outrun by linemen last year. I don't think he got outrun by them, but he couldn't pull away. And then he got run down by the guys who were faster than him. And then I think he topped out at like 19 miles an hour on one of his runs.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Mariota, I mean, you know me, I love Mariota, but I'm not 100% sure how much that moves the needle. And then Bobby Wagner, like we said, that was huge news 5 years ago. Love Bobby Wagner. I think he's a dog, but I think his best days are behind him. So I think they should draft Jaden Daniels. Will they? I have no idea. I think
the Commanders are talking about, so.
Right. It's one of those moments where they're either going to draft Jaden Daniels or they're going to draft a punter or like Joe Alt or something they don't need. So I think they should, and I think that the Mariota signing is perfect because I think you sit him for a year or at least like 8 games, something like that. You know, give Mariota a chance to be your bridge and let him learn the NFL. I think that Jaden Daniels probably is the best raw talent in the draft. But I also think that his experience at LSU, like I think he could benefit from having some time to sit and learn. You know, Mariota is one of those quarterbacks that can at least carry you to 500. I know that because he did that with the Titans many times. And then I think, you know, you get 8 games in, you're 4-4. Okay, you give Jaden Daniels a try. See what happens. I think something that could make sense, but I don't think they would do it, is drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. instead. And then you get a weapon there instead of a quarterback. If you're just not crazy about any quarterback but Caleb Williams, then I think you could potentially see something like that. But I definitely think Jaden Daniels makes the most sense for them.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Mariota makes sense because, like you said, he can be that bridge guy. But
and
what he does,
he has
is
he has a similar play style to Daniels too. Well,
yeah,
like you said to me earlier, he used to.
Yeah, back when Mariota was 23 and could run the same way Jaden Daniels did
And
or does.
and wasn't 32 like he almost is now.
Yeah. But no, I think Mariota's a great bridge guy. Paying him $6 million, just giving him a chance to kind of go out there and lead your offense. And if he plays fantastic and Jaden Daniels doesn't get a shot to start because Mariota just goes on a tear and then you end up 10-7, so be it,
Right.
Because if you think about it, if there's 5 quarterbacks that are drafted in any given draft class, the odds that all 5 of them are going to be great are very, very low.
Very low.
The odds that one of them is going to be great
are not
still
very
low.
high. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we look at some of these draft classes and we're like, yeesh. Like the one that you sent me was like Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, like Matt Corral was the first quarterback taken or was the best prospect or whatever. And it was like, that's not great.
Yeah.
So I think having him sit, learn the offense, learn what it means to be a professional is going to do nothing but benefit him in the long run. So that's kind of the way I feel with that Marcus Mariota signing.
It's the 2022 draft class. It was Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Sam Howell, and Desmond Ridder.
And let's go over that. Matt Corral, not in the NFL. Kenny Pickett, going to be a backup. Malik Willis, garbage. Who was the fourth guy?
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell
led the league in passing weirdly for like 3/4 of the season last year, but then was garbage.
Going to be a backup third string. I don't even know. And Desmond Ridder going to be a backup. So we'll see how that draft class went.
Yeah. Sam Howell is probably the weirdest story from that draft class.
Yeah. All right, final team.
Cool. On to my division rival, the Houston Texans. So Joe Mixon was released by the Bengals and then was not released by the Bengals and was instead traded to the Houston Texans for a 7th-round pick. Also, the Texans signed Danielle Hunter with a 2-year, $49 million deal.
Also, anybody listening out there, his name is not Danielle. It is Danielle. I was listening to Fox Sports Radio yesterday, and they were like, Danielle Hunter is signed. I'm like, dude, you can't even say his name right. It is Danielle Hunter.
Right.
Anyway, back to what you're saying. It makes me mad. It's
I get it.
Say his name right. It's not hard.
Especially like if you're gonna be a media person, you have to say their names right because like that's your job.
Yeah.
Like that is your job.
Like, you're just talking to your coworker at a 9 to 5, and you say Danielle. Okay, whatever. You literally get paid to say their name right. Sorry.
Yeah, that's rough. I was looking for that post I sent you about the Texans' defensive front because they're disgusting. And I think Danielle Hunter just makes it even crazier.
Front 7 is Will Anderson, Christian Harris, Danielle Hunter, Danico Autry, Malik Collins, Falorunzo Fatukasi, Aziz Al-Shair, and Henry Toto.
Stop. They're already dead.
Had a stroke trying to say those last 4 names.
I heard that. As far as the defense goes, holy crap.
Yeah. With the defensive head coach and D'Amico Ryans,
they might take over as the best defense in the NFL. If all those names stay healthy, oh my God. Now, as far as the offense goes, Joe Mixon, I think, is a good pickup for them, but we did see Joe Mixon kind of declining this past year.
I mean, he's 28. This will be his 7th year.
So, but they still have what, Dameon Pierce?
And didn't they have Devin Singletary too?
Singletari's not there anymore though. He went to the Giants.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They had
they have Dameon
Pierce. Yeah. And he was pretty good. So I think their run game will be pretty good, but I would be remiss to sit here and act like that's their best part of their offense. They are definitely a passing offense, and I think with them having Nico Collins coming back and they've got Tank Dell, they'll be able to pick up some pieces in the draft. I think the AFC South is definitely their division to lose. The Colts, I mean, they did franchise tag Michael Pittman, but let's not act like that's moving the needle from where they were, especially because right now they have, which I mean, they were pretty good. Shane Steichen did a really good job with their team, but Anthony Richardson, I'm still just not convinced on what he's going to be. I think if he stays
We just
healthy,
haven't seen anything.
if he stays healthy, I think he'll be really good. But I mean, he got his head knocked off too. So, you know, the Jags, I think honestly took a step down with Gabe Davis instead of Calvin Ridley. And you have the Titans are in rebuild mode, but honestly, I think the Titans could be one of those weird, like, kind of shock you teams next year. And by
I'll be shocked if the Titans go 500.
and
not
and,
to be mean or anything,
and by shock
like,
you and by shock you teams, I mean like they are either gonna like make the playoffs or they're gonna do what Nate Robinson did whenever he was like, I'm ready to shock the world, and they got knocked out in 2 seconds and had that. And Steph Curry commented and was like, "You shocked us, all right." I definitely think it's the Texans' division to lose. And yeah, so that was kind of my thoughts on that. What'd you have there?
Yeah, that defense is going to be scary. It just sucks that it's once again an AFC team, man. Like, it's probably going to be a team that come January, you don't want to see them in the playoffs, which for the Bengals is not a good sign. So,
no, sir.
Yeah, this feels to me like it's going to be Houston's division to lose. You know, I pointed out all the things that the rest of the division has or hasn't done, and I'll be shocked if any of those teams even kind of challenge the Texans. I mean, the Jags should, but outside of that, we've seen what the Jags do, and they just kind of spit and sputter towards the end of the year, the last couple of seasons. And
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those. The Texans are scary. Like the Texans. I know I said the Ravens were probably the scariest team in the AFC, but if I had to rank just based on teams I'd be scared of, I think I'd go Ravens and then Texans. Like they are good. So all right, well, we made it through the biggest free agent stories that were out there. We, like I said, we cut probably 10 out of that, and we are well, the time isn't on there right now, but we are quite a bit into this podcast. So let's move on to a segment that Justin and I wanted to do after we posted on TikTok a clip of our last podcast. And I said that without Steph Curry, Kevin Durant would not be top 25 all time. And that got a lot of engagement. I got flamed.
Got a lot of pushback. Got a lot of hate.
I got flamed a little bit, and that's okay. You know, that's part of, I mean, it's a hot take for a reason, but I stand by what I said. You know, if he didn't have those 2 championships with the Warriors, then he would be just a really, really great all-time great scorer that hadn't accomplished anything and couldn't lead a team. But
kind of similar to like a James Harden, if we're being honest.
Right, honestly. But that kind of inspired Justin and I to, you know what? I said he wouldn't be top 25. Obviously, he is. We actually, when we did our lists here, we had him ranked in the exact same spot. But for me, I was like, you know, why don't we do that? Why don't we sit here and look at our top 25 players? And so we sat down, we both made our lists, and then we kind of agreed on where we thought people were. We moved some stuff around, and so we are now sharing the rundown rankings, which is the rundowns are combined top 25 NBA players of all time. So we will start at 25. We'll just give a little bit of like stats about them, some of their accolades. If we feel like we need to qualify anything, we'll do that, but we should move through these decently. So Justin, without further ado, why don't you start us off, my man?
Yeah, we'll just kind of go back and forth. So I'll start at 25, and then, you know, Ben will go 24, and we'll go from there. So coming in at 25 all time, he is currently playing. That is Nikola Jokic. He averages 20.8 points per game, 10.7 rebounds, and 6.9 assists per game in his career so far currently. He has 6 All-Star appearances, 3 All-NBA first-team selections. He has 2 MVPs, 1 Finals MVP, and, of course, the championship that he won last year. He also has a silver medal at the 2016 Olympics with Serbia.
I can see it now. Coming in at number 25, Nikola Jokic, like every viewer, is the man. All right. Coming in at number 24, the Flash himself, Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade averaged 22 points per game, 4.7 rebounds per game, and 5.4 assists per game. He had 13 All-Star appearances. He had 2 All-NBA first-team selections. He was a 3-time NBA champion, winning the Finals MVP in 2006. He won gold with Team USA at the 2008 Olympics and bronze in 2004. And, I mean, they called it Wade County. Like, he was just incredible. He was one of my favorite players growing up, and it wouldn't feel right to exclude him from the top 25.
For sure. Coming in at 23, which actually was a guy that I kind of forgot about when I was making my list, and Ben had to remind me. So coming in at 23, that is Elgin Baylor. He averaged 27.4 points per game, 13.5 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. He was an 11-time All-Star and a 10-time All-NBA first-team selection, and he currently ranks 34th all-time in points and 27th all-time in rebounds.
Yes, sir. So, moving on now, coming in at 22, we have the Chuckster, Charles Barkley. He averaged 22.1 points per game, 11.7 rebounds per game, and 3.9 assists per game. He was an 11-time All-Star. He was selected as All-NBA First Team 5 times. He was the NBA rebounding leader in 1987, and of course, won the NBA MVP in 1993. He also won back-to-back gold medals with Team USA in 1992 and 1996. He also co-hosts probably one of the greatest basketball shows ever in NBA on TNT. Charles Barkley, again, it's one of those, I know he didn't win a ring, but it wouldn't feel like a top 25 list without him.
For sure. Coming in at 21, I have John Stockton. He averaged 13.5 points per game, 10.5 assists per game, and 2.2 steals per game. He was a 10-time All-Star. He was selected to the All-NBA team All-NBA first team twice, both in 1994 and 1995. He led the league in assists 9 consecutive years from 1988 to 1996.
Good Lord.
And led the league in steals from in 1989 and 1992. And he still currently is the all-time NBA leader in assists and steals. And he too, just like Barkley, won back-to-back gold with Team USA in 1992 and 1996.
Yes, sir. All right, coming in at number 20 was a name that both of us, when we read his accolades, went, "Holy crap!"
Because
it's
like
one of
I
those
texted you that, and I was like, David Robinson was good, but I didn't think he was that good.
And it's one of those like
I
where
kinda ruined it.
it's one of those like if you just didn't know about him, like obviously he was like he was good, but it's like reading his accolades. Why don't I do that really quick? So he averaged 21.1 points per game, 10.6 rebounds per game, and 3.6 blocks per game. He was a 10-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA first-team selection. He won NBA Defensive Player of the Year in 1992, NBA MVP in 1995, and was a 2-time champion in 1999 and 2003. He also led the league in scoring in 1994, rebounding in 1991, and blocks in 1992. He also won back-to-back gold medals with Team USA in 92 and 96, as well as bronze in 1988. David Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. Man was a monster.
At number 20. Coming in at 19, we have Julius Erving. He averaged 24.2 points per game throughout his career, 8.5 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. He played in both the ABA and the NBA, so I kind of combined his accomplishments across both. He was a 16-time All-Star, a 9-time first-team selection. He won 4 MVPs and was a 3-time champion. And he also led the ABA in scoring in 1973, 74, and 76. The NBA does not, but if you included his ABA scoring, he would actually he would rank 8th all time in NBA points with 30,026. So Julius Erving at 19.
So he was trash, is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. All right, coming in at number 18, another one of my favorite players growing up. We have Mr. Dirk Nowitzki. He averaged 20.7 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, and 2.4 assists per game. He was a 14-time All-Star. He was a 4-time All-NBA first-team selection. He was the 2007 MVP, and he won the championship and finals MVP in 2011 as part of one of the biggest upsets in NBA history. Although if you really look at the teams he had to go through to get there, it's probably not that much of an upset. But he was a part of the 50-40-90 club in 2007, which for a man of his size is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
And then his 31,560 points places him 6th all time in NBA scoring. So that is Dallas Mavericks legend Dirk Nowitzki at 18.
Coming in at 17, we have Moses Malone. He averaged 20.6 points per game, 12.2 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks per game. He was a 12-time All-Star from 1978 to 1989. He was a 4-time All-NBA first-team selection and a 6-time rebounding leader. He won 3 NBA MVPs in 1979, 82, and 83, and was an NBA champion in 83 as well, where he also won the Finals MVP that year. He currently ranks 11th all-time in points with 27,409. So 17 is Moses Malone.
Was he ever going to do anything?
Right.
All right. Coming in at number 16, we have the logo, Jerry West. He averaged 27 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game, and 6.7 assists per game. He was a 14-time All-Star, a 10-time selection to the All-NBA first team, which is nuts. He was the NBA leading scorer in 1970 and assist leader in 1972. He won NBA Finals MVP in 1969 without winning the title. Let me just repeat that. He won the Finals MVP in 1969 without winning the title, but then won his first and only championship in 1972 with the Lakers. He won gold with Team USA in the 1960 Rome Olympics. Ladies and gentlemen, the logo, Jerry West, coming in at number 16.
Coming in at 15, we have Timberwolves and Celtics legend Kevin Garnett.
KG.
He averaged 17.8 points per game, 10 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. He was a 15-time All-Star, a 4-time All-NBA first team. He won NBA Defensive Player of the Year in 2008 and NBA MVP in 2004. He won his only championship in 2008 with the Boston Celtics, and he was a part of the 2000 gold medal team for Team USA. Number 15, KG, Kevin Garnett.
All right. Coming in at number 14, we have Russell Westbrook before he was Russell Westbrook. We have Oscar Robertson. So he averaged 25.7 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, and 9.5 assists per game. He was a 12-time NBA All-Star, a 9-time All-NBA first-team selection. He led the league in assists 6 times. He won his only MVP in 1964 and won his only championship with the Milwaukee Bucks in 1971. He also won the gold medal in the 1960 Rome Olympics. Coming in at number 14, that is Oscar Robertson.
Cincinnati legend.
Yes, sir.
Coming in at 13, we have Hakeem Olajuwon. He averaged 21.8 points per game, 11.1 rebounds, and 3.1 blocks per game. He was a 12-time All-Star. He was selected to the All-NBA team or All-NBA first team 6 times. He won 2 Defensive Player of the Years, and his only MVP he won in 1994. He also won back-to-back championships in 1994 and 95, both series in which he won Finals MVP. He also represented Team USA in their gold medal run with the Dream Team in the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. So, 13, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yes, sir. All right. Coming in at number 12,
Here it is.
the controversial man himself. That is Kevin Durant. So he currently averages 27.3 points per game, 7.0 rebounds per game, and 4.4 assists per game for his career. He has been selected to 14 All-Star games and 6 All-NBA first teams. He's been a part of the 50-40-90 club twice. He led the league in scoring in 2010, 2012, and 2014. He was the 2014 NBA MVP and then won back-to-back championships and finals MVPs with the Golden State Warriors in 2017 and 2018. He's been a part of 3 gold medal teams for Team USA in 2012, 2016, and 2020. And he is one of, 4 active players on this list in the top 25. That is number 12, Kevin Durant. And that is just for those of you that think that I just called him the worst player to ever touch a basketball. We think very highly of him. My take was specifically if you take out that line about Golden State.
Coming in at 11, we have Bill Russell. He averaged 15.1 points per game, 22.5 rebounds per game. I'm going to say that again. He averaged, for his career, 22.5 rebounds per game, as well as 4.3 assists per game. He was a 12-time NBA All-Star, a 3-time All-NBA first-team selection, and was a 4-time rebounding champion with 5 MVPs and, the legend himself, 11 NBA championships. He obviously won all of those before Finals MVPs existed, although you have to assume he would have won.
Probably would have been the Finals MVP for probably at least 9 of those.
Yeah. He also won gold with Team USA in the 1956 Melbourne Olympics, or Melbourne, however you say it. Close enough. So, number 11, just missing out of the top 10, that is Bill Russell.
Just to add, too, he won a championship as a coach. He was a player coach.
True.
So, nuts. All right. Coming in at number 10, we have, rest in peace to the Black Mamba, we have Kobe Bryant. He averaged 25 points per game, 5.2 rebounds per game, and 4.7 assists per game. He was an 18-time All-Star. He had 11 All-NBA first-team selections. He had 9-time All-NBA defensive first-team selections. He won the NBA MVP in 2008, and he won 5 championships, including a three-peat from 2000 to 2002 and back-to-back in 2009-2010. He was also a 2-time Olympic gold medalist with Team USA in 2008 and 2012. That is the legend himself, Kobe Bryant, coming in at number 10.
Coming in at number 9, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Fundamental, Tim Duncan.
The big fundamental.
He averaged 19 points per game, 10.8 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks per game. He was named 15-time All-Star, a 10-time All-NBA first-team selection, and also 8 All-NBA first-team defensive team selections. He won back-to-back MVPs in 2002 and 2003, and he also won 5 championships spread across 3 different decades, with his first coming in at 1999 and his final one in 2014. He was named Finals MVP for 3 of those championships, and he also represented Team USA in their bronze medal in the 2004 Athens Olympics.
Bro, I know he was good. Jane got to get all choked up about it.
No, they're just getting dry.
Cool. So that was Tim Duncan at number 9. Coming in at number 8, and this is probably going to be controversial to some people, but you can't look at his accolades and put him anywhere else. And that is the greatest shooter ever, Steph Curry. He currently averages 24.8 points per game, 6.4 assists per game, and 4.7 rebounds per game for his career. He has been selected to 10 All-Star games and has 4 All-NBA first-team selections. He led the league in scoring in 2016 and 2021. He led the league in steals in 2016 was part of the 50-40-90 club in 2016. He won back-to-back MVPs, including, I think he was the first ever unanimous MVP in 2016, and it was 15 and 16 that he won his MVPs. He has 4 NBA championships, with the latest was his Finals MVP in the win over the Celtics. He leads the NBA history in three-pointers made. He has made a little over 700 more than second place Ray Allen, and he is just widely regarded as the greatest shooter ever. And that is Steph Curry at number 8.
Bordell.
Yes, sir.
Coming in at number 7, Big Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal. He averaged 23.7 points per game, 10.9 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks. He was selected to 15 All-Star games, 8 All-NBA first-team selections. He was a 2-time scoring champion in 1995 and again in 2000. The same year, he won his only league MVP, 2000. He also has 4 NBA championships, winning 3 consecutive Finals MVPs with the Lakers during their three-peat. And he also helped the 1996 Team USA Dream Team win gold in the Atlanta Olympics. So, number 7, the Big Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal.
The Big Diesel. All right. Coming in at number 6, we have Magic Johnson. He averaged 19.5 points per game, 7.2 rebounds per game, and 11.2 assists per game. He was a 12-time All-Star, selected to the All-NBA First Team 9 times. He led the league in assists 4 times from 1983 to 1987. He led the league in steals in 1981 to 1982. He won 3 NBA MVPs in 87, 89, and 1990. He also won 5 championships with the Lakers, being named Finals MVP in 3 of those. He was also part of the 1992 USA Dream Team in the Barcelona Olympics. Ladies and gentlemen, number 6, Magic Johnson.
Coming in at number 5, the Hick from French Lick, Larry Bird, Larry Legend. He averaged 24.3 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, and 6.3 assists. He was selected to 12 All-Star games, as well as 9 All-NBA first-team selections. He was a part of the 50-40-90 club twice in his career. He also became the first forward to ever win 3 consecutive MVPs. He was a 3-time NBA champion, with 2 of those being selected as NBA Finals MVP. He also is the only person in NBA history to be named Rookie of the Year, MVP, Finals MVP, All-Star MVP, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year. And he, too, was a part of the 1992 Dream Team for Team USA at the Barcelona Olympics. So, number 5, the Hick from French Lick, Larry Legend, Larry Bird.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. On to number 4.
Here's where it starts to get a little...
Here's where it gets a little interesting. I'm glad that you get to break in the crazy part. Maybe you'll get flamed instead of me. All right, coming in at number 4, we have the legend himself, Wilt Chamberlain. He averaged 30.1 points per game, 22.9 rebounds per game, and 4.4 assists per game.
That literally sounds like video game.
He was a 13-time NBA All-Star. He was a 7-time All-NBA first-team selection. He led the league in scoring for 7 consecutive seasons from 1960 to 1966. He led the league in rebounding 11 different seasons. He led the league in assists in 1968. He won 4 MVP awards and won 2 championships, one with both the Philadelphia 76ers and the Los Angeles Lakers. He currently sits with the most rebounds in NBA history with 23,924 rebounds, and 7th in scoring with 31,419 points. He also holds the NBA single-game scoring record with 100 points scored. That is number 4.
Although that's a little controversial.
It's controversial, but as of now, it's still the record. So I just felt like saying it. So that is number 4, Wilt Chamberlain.
Coming in at number 3 on the rundown rankings of the NBA top 25 all time, that is going to be Michael Jordan. He averaged 30.1 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, and 5.3 assists. He was selected to 14 All-Star games in his 15-year career. He was a 10-time All-NBA first-team selection. He led the league in scoring 10 times and steals 3 times. He won 1988 Defensive Player of the Year, as well as winning 5 MVPs throughout his career, as well as winning 6 NBA championships, all of which he was selected as Finals MVP. He was a part of the 1984 and 1992 USA Olympic teams, winning gold at both, and he currently sits in 5th place in total points with 32,292, and 4th place in steals with 2,514. Number 3, Michael Jordan.
Like I said, I'm just glad that soundbite is you saying it, not me.
Mine. Hey, you signed off on this list.
I did sign off on this list. So what we'll do really quick, we'll go through number 2 and number 1, and then we can kind of talk a little bit about why we have the top 3 the way we have them. So coming in at number 2, we have the Skyhook Master, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He averaged 24.6 points per game, 11.2 rebounds per game, and 3.6 assists per game. He was selected as a 19-time All-Star. He was also named as a 10-time All-NBA first-team selection. He led the league in scoring just twice in his career, both in 71 and 72. He led the league in rebounding in 1976, and he led the league in blocks in 4 separate years. He won 6 MVPs in his career and also won 6 championships, 1 with the Milwaukee Bucks and 5 with the Los Angeles Lakers. He was named Finals MVP for 2 of those championships, with the other 3 being Magic. He held the all-time scoring record for 39 years until just last year. He currently ranks 2nd in points with 38,387. I
believe he also ranks 3rd in rebounding.
Yeah, 3rd in rebounding. I do want to mention that he was a 3-time NCAA national champion in college with UCLA, and he was like a 4-time high school state champion or something like that. He lost 3 games from his freshman year of high school until he was drafted in the NBA.
Didn't he also win a couple national championships in track and field?
I think
like
so.
High
Yeah.
jump?
I think so. Yeah, I think I remember that. So,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, that is the 2nd best player of all time, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
And what everyone's been waiting for, coming in at number 1 all time, LeBron James. He currently averages 27.1 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, and 7.4 assists. He has the most All-Star selections of all time with 20. He has 13 All-NBA first-team selections. He led the league in scoring just once in his career in 2008. He also led the league in assists once in his career in 2020. He has been named league MVP 4 times in his career, including winning back-to-back in 2012 and 2013. He has won 4 NBA championships while being named Finals MVP in all 4 victories. He represented Team USA in their 2004 bronze medal at the Athens Olympics, and then won back-to-back golds in 2008 and 2012. He went to 8 straight NBA Finals from 2011 to 2018, and he currently sits in 1st place in points scored as I'm reading this with 40,096. He also is 4th in assists with 10,877, and he is currently 30th in rebounds and 8th in steals. Simply put, he is the GOAT, LeBron James.
All right. Controversial. I can't wait for the TikTok sound bites. But so, let's just talk for a second a little bit more about this. So the reason why we have Jordan 3rd. So I don't think anyone would argue that he had the most dominant, like, 6-year peak of any player. I mean, 6-0 in the finals. You can't argue against
Well,
that.
technically, it's two separate 3-year.
It is two
peaks.
separate 3-year peaks. You're right. You're right. But he retired in the middle of that, and when you're talking about the greatest player ever, unfortunately, you do have to hold stuff like that against him. And the year he was out, the Bulls they won like 55 games with Scottie Pippen, and so at his most dominant, I think his peak was the highest of anyone's. But his career
even the year that he came back in the middle of the year, they still made it to the playoffs and lost to the Magic, who didn't even win the championship that year.
Right.
So it's not even like he lost to the best team.
Right. So it's like, I understand why he was the GOAT, or why everybody views him as the GOAT, because he was, it's the flash, the finesse, the way he did it. But when you look at career accomplishments and the totality of his career, I don't think he can be the GOAT. So then we looked at it, and we looked at Kareem, who had probably the greatest basketball career ever. I mean, when you factor in his high school accomplishments, his NCAA accomplishments, the fact that he was a 19-time All-Star and scored 38,000 points without a three-point line.
That sounds comical to say.
That's insane.
That doesn't even sound real.
That's insane. Like, the three-point line was there for some of that, but it's not like he was out there shooting like Steph. Like, when I look at Kareem, I think that he was a better overall player than Michael Jordan. And so then we get to LeBron, who came into the league as a forward, and then at that 2015 range became a point guard. He ran the offense for those Cleveland Cavaliers from 2015 to 2018. And, he is the first and only person still to come back from down 3-1 in an NBA Finals game, or in a final series, and win against the greatest regular season team ever, the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. When you look at all of his accolades, he went to 8 straight NBA Finals, and people can talk all they want about that Finals 2011 performance. You got me. That was a bad performance by him. It was. But when you look at the totality of it, 2013, 2014, D Wade was not the same D Wade
that he was in 2006.
Right. And so LeBron really had to become LeBron, and he really had to take over and carry that team. And he carried a Cavs team in 2007 to the NBA Finals, where his second best player was Zydrunas Ilgauskas. So when you just look at everything, he came in as the chosen one, the king. He was supposed to be the next Michael Jordan, and he faced the most pressure of anyone who's ever played the game of basketball, and he has beyond exceeded expectations. And I think for a lot of people, he became the GOAT whenever that 3-1 comeback happened. For me, I think it became unquestioned whenever he both passed Kareem in scoring and then broke 40,000 points. We're talking about...
Also, I think something we need to keep in mind is Michael Jordan played a little over 900 games. LeBron surpassed that 7 years ago. And he's still going. He's still averaging like 24 points a game. And he's 40 years old. He's in season 21. If you combined every single player that has played 21 seasons and combined their points per game, LeBron has scored more points than them.
And the thing is,
like, that's combined. That's like 5 different guys combined.
And
he has scored more points.
People want to act like the Wizards years didn't happen for MJ, but they have.
And they want to act like the years before Pippen didn't exist.
Right, where he was getting bounced in the first round.
He couldn't get past the Bad Boys Pistons. No. We have to hold that against him if we're going to hold the 2007 finals where his second best player was Ilgauskas against LeBron. We have to hold the years that He didn't even make it to the finals because he was getting bounced in the first round. He's
Well,
getting swept.
remember, making it to the finals and losing is worse than getting bounced in the first round and getting swept. That if you're
You're
talking
right.
about the
My
GOAT
bad.
argument with Jordan, that's what they say. So
My bad. Michael Jordan only played 6 years in the NBA, apparently.
apparently so. But when you look at totality of career, and you look at it truly from an objective viewpoint, I truly feel like this top 25 we have, with some of the people's careers not being done, I truly feel like this is the most accurate list we could have come up with. So, yeah, I feel good about it. Any kind of final comments you wanted to make about our top 25?
I'm good.
Cool. Well, let's do hot takes and then get out of here, shall we?
I'm good.
All right. So, my first hot take is that the Tennessee Titans will be a wild card team this year.
Wow.
I think that the moves that they've made are good. I think that they will do some good stuff in the draft. I at this point trust Rand Carthen, and I think that with Will Levis being at year 2, I think the Jaguars take a step back. I'm not worried about the Colts at all. The only teams that scare me right now in the AFC that aren't like going to win their division are like, I think the AFC North could potentially keep us out. Because I truly do feel like there is a possibility that you all get all 4 of your teams in there. But as it sits right now, I think the Titans will be a wild card team. You said, wow.
I mean, yeah. My first hot take is that if the Atlanta Falcons don't win the NFC South, it will be an overwhelming disappointment given the talent that they have. Given the fact that they paid 36-year-old Kirk Cousins $100 and whatever million, and they have Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and a new head coach, and they have a pretty solid defense and a pretty solid O-line, and they can build more through the draft. I think if they don't win their division this year, it will be a massive disappointment.
Fair.
Given all of the talent that they have.
Fair. I definitely agree with you on that one. You ready? I brought some just heaters. Are you ready for my second one?
Oh boy.
Are you ready for my second one?
Yeah.
With the addition of Derrick Henry and Justin Matabuki, the Baltimore Ravens have the best chance out of any team since the 1972 Dolphins to go undefeated. See ya.
Just breathe.
Is
the man? No, I'm just kidding.
So, I think that the thing that the Ravens lacked was a truly consistent run game, and that's obviously not their fault. None of their running backs could stay healthy. And I think that you give Lamar a great running game, and they make some good draft decisions with like wide receivers and stuff. And, Zay Flowers still is really good, and they have some other good. Is it Zay Flowers that they have, or Zay Jones?
Zay Flowers.
Flowers, that's right. Sorry.
Zay Jones is on the Jags.
Right. And then I think that their defensive pieces too are really good, and I think that I wouldn't pick it, but I think that they have the best chance to do it.
Okay. All right. My second hot take is that the Chicago Bears will once again be an absolute disaster and dumpster fire and embarrassment if they choose to keep Justin Fields and draft Caleb Williams. DJ Moore has already come out and said that Justin Fields is the guy. He has endorsed Fields, wants him to be the QB, and keeping Fields will divide the locker room. And not only that, it will hurt the development of Caleb Williams and honestly the little bit of development that Justin Fields needs as well. So I think if Fields is still on the roster for whatever reason, whether they can't find a suitor or they just want him as a backup, it's going to divide the locker room, and they will once again be a laughing stock in the NFL this year.
Yes, sir. I definitely agree with you there. So cool. Those were our hot takes. I apparently just blew your mind a couple times there. Which one was crazier?
The fact that you said the Ravens could go 17-0.
20-0.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, like I think that they have the best chance out of any team since the 1972 Dolphins to do that, to go completely undefeated, win the Super Bowl, everything. So, like I said, it's one of those things where I wouldn't pick it because I'm never going to pick any team to go undefeated. But if there is a team to do it, I think it's them. So, I know as a Bengals fan, I'm sure that makes you so happy.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's bring this free agency frenzy to a close, at least for today. Who knows? We'll finish recording and then the Titans will trade for Justin Jefferson or something. So, all right. On that note, I am Ben, and on behalf of Justin, thank you guys for listening/watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast, and also on YouTube. Also, you can find us on TikTok and Instagram at the Rundown Sports Pod. So make sure you check us out, give us a follow, give us a like, subscribe so that you don't miss any of our upcoming content. And until next time, guys, have a nice day.